Hey, how's it going, guys? It's Choco the Chocobo, and I am back, and I'm going to be doing a live comm review of Advanced Warfare, something very different for the channel, but I thought I would bring that to guys to you because I did want to do this for a while now, and I think that's very important, just so, like, when people are like, oh, Choco, why are you so ragey? Kind of gives you an overview of why I'm ragey and stuff like that, which is kind of like a spoiler of how I feel about the overall game, but this review is going to cover several things. It's going to touch on the campaign very, very briefly, and there's also going to be, it's going to be mostly a multiplayer thing. It's going to talk about some technical issues, gun balance, map layout, stuff like that. And of course, I do want to say right now, great, 2v4, awesome. Oh, great, no game at all. Even, oh, there we go. All right, cool. But yeah, also we're going to talk about some things about matchmaking, which is a completely separate beast, which I'm thankfully getting a fantastic view of here. Although this is actually pretty good. I shouldn't complain. It's actually pretty decent. But anyways, so campaign. Again, I want to disclaim that everything in the review is based off of the PC experience. Console, I've heard, is a lot better than PC in terms of the way that it's played and how it feels. And I would 100% believe that, because whenever developers make a game for console, they're building it for one system spec as opposed to 9 million. So, cheers to that. But for me, as a PC gamer and someone who's only played really on PC for a very long time now, this is going to be a PC thing. So, campaign. Let's talk about campaign. The campaign itself is, I thought for a Call of Duty campaign, was a really good campaign. My first impression of it after, well, not my first impression, but my impression after playing the actual campaign in full was that, man, I really wish this was Black Ops' campaign. There was a good mixture of stealth, good mixture of just straight up action, pretty cool stuff. I thought it was a lot of fun. I know some people are going to be like, oh, it freaking was terrible, it was lame. The plot, admittedly, is kind of weak. The ending of the actual game seems awkwardly like, the ending of the game actually seems awkwardly like Modern Warfare 3. Very, very weird in that regard, because I don't know, I thought it was actually like cookie cutter, like it was straight taken from it. It was very bizarre to see that happen. But, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, the campaign itself, good mixture. I thought it was a pretty good Call of Duty campaign. Nothing to be alarmed about for sure. It was definitely something that I was like, yeah, okay. It's not below the mark. It's the thing where it's above the mark. But that is what it is. So that's all I gotta say about the campaign, really. Ooh, just ran straight into that guy. So let's go into the multiplayer, which is what I'm doing right now. For me, Call of Duty has always been about the multiplayer experience. It's always about, okay, well, I want to be able to play this game, I want to be able to progress in it in terms of like personal progression, skill progression, and I want to be able to say to myself like, hey, I'm getting better at this game, I'm getting to the point where I can actually like tussle with some really good players and stuff like that, or I can hold my own, have a good KD, stuff like that. That's what I'm used to like expecting from people playing Call of Duty or multiplayer. So this year around, I think that it's been riddled with a lot of nasty problems, some of which can be resolved with patches, some of which cannot. So the first thing on the list is technical issues. This has been a weird problem that didn't really seem to be an issue until Ghosts rolled around. What is going on? Why am I like half ADS? That was really weird. But yeah, there's this like very strange set of technical issues, one of which is that they have a playable floor, is my understanding. I personally have not experienced this, but apparently people are having this issue where you're getting locked out of the game if your PC specs do not please the gaming gods, then you're basically screwed and you're not allowed to play the game, which I think is very bizarre. I feel like if you want to try to play it on a terrible machine, like, God bless you, go for it. But makes no sense to lock people out, in my opinion. But again, that's my opinion. There's a couple of other weird things about the about the multiplayer technically. There are some maps, I forget what the maps names are, but there's one where it's like an ocean map, and then there's another one where there's like these giant drills just slamming onto the ground. Those two maps in particular are very bad offenders in this regard, but in general, the game seems to have a lot of set pieces that make the game lag, like, really badly. Not like, oh, you know, a little stutter at the beginning and you move on your merry way. If you have like an average, maybe slightly below average card, you end up with this weird situation where you're just going to get slammed by like actual graphics lag. And then there's also, on top of that, to compound onto the issue, You also have a fair bit of latency issues, at least from my experience. You get like some really weird hit registration, stuff like that. Now, to be fair, that can be easily, well, not easily, but that is apparently going to be fixed in the near future. And that's confirmed by Sledgehammer that they're planning to get dedicated servers onto the actual rotation here and getting it all fixed up. But as of right now, there isn't any. And the graphical issue, maybe they can patch that if they actually just make the set pieces static, which is honestly what they should have done from the beginning. But, I mean, it is what it is. I don't think it's something that I'm going to hold my breath for. Historically, it's very hard to roll things like that out. And, you know, as much as it hurts me to say it, PC is not exactly like the top priority, which makes sense, right? And most of the players are on console, stuff like that. But, yep, that is definitely something to bear in mind, is that there are some of these weird issues kind of like haunting the game, which is unfortunate because it is a game that had a lot of potential, in my opinion. But anyways, away from that, let's talk about the gun balance. Gun balance in this game is very, very different. It is an assault rifle dominated game, as opposed to an SMG dominated game or otherwise, which I think it's mostly been an SMG dominated game from previous Call of Duties. So kind of weird. Definitely feels refreshing, in my opinion, to be able to say, oh, assault rifles dominate the landscape, because it's more about medium long range capability, which again, very different than the norm. But yeah, kind of cool. Ooh, okay, that guy was just kind of hanging out there. But yeah, very, very odd gun balancing and stuff. The actual gun balancing itself, I think, is very poorly done. Definitely not something I would encourage people to look at as a... Why does it keep... This is so bizarre. Like, right there, you can see, like, a couple of weird issues. It's like half ADSing. Very odd. I don't know if that's an actual feature or if it's just a bug. I don't know. I don't care. But, yeah. Anyways, the gun balancing itself, very odd. The guns that I would like to point out, too, that make zero sense to me is the ARX, which is a burst rifle, or is a burst assault rifle, 3-shot burst. It will not kill you in one burst unless you are stupidly close to the point where you should be using a shotgun or the railgun or whatever you want to call it. That to me is kind of like you really messed up at some point. Like you really messed up, because that generally is not the kind of feel you want to go for. At least in my opinion, it's not the feel you should go for. So, you know, you have this weird, like, you have to be, yeah, you have this weird feeling of like there's a very set number of guns you can get, and it's, you know, while it's not normally a very large deal, it is in this case because the gun balancing, it's just so brutal. And then you have these variants that you get not based off of, well, some of them you can get off of like specific actions and stuff, and you can kind of pre-aim for them. So I guess in that regard, you can kind of like work towards them. It's sort of skill-based, but in my opinion, it's not very skill-based. It's not very like, oh yeah, you have like a good reason for having it. It's not like a level unlock or anything like that. It's literally just you are given these arbitrary variants. To me, you're just gonna see people that have it, and that to me takes out some of the fun. Whenever you start making like these arbitrary things happen, it kind of hurts the game performance for me. But yeah, the gun performance, like the ARX can't one-shot KO people at longer ranges. You also have the completely opposite side of the spectrum, where oh, he's still alive. Okay then. I did not think he would be alive after that. All right, that was not what I thought would happen there at all. And I can't aim for beans. But you also have things like the XMG, the Akimbo LMGs, which are just not practical unless you unlock rapid fire onto them. It's just the firing rate is not fast enough, the bullet damage is not high enough. It's just not strong enough as a gun, which is sort of a disappointment. But, you know, that is what it is. Ooh, let me see here. So you have the gun balancing kind of being wonky. The pistols are very underwhelming this year, which, of course, if you guys know me and the Bay 5.7 from Black Ops 2, that is a heartbreaker to me. But then you have you have Val and stuff, which is, you know, they feel more like a classic thing. The time to kill in this game is actually longer, which is kind of anti-intuitive to like what I was experiencing. I felt like, wow, this has to be like a really quick time to kill. It's not. It's longer. That was tested out by Drifter. Of course, check out his channel because he has done amazing stuff with testing the game and learning things. He's been doing it by hand this year, which is brutal. But yeah, it's definitely an odd game because you feel like you melt really quickly, but I think that has more to do with the latency and that other stuff that I was talking about earlier. Why am I red? Oh, I must be getting system hack or something. Alright, any doodles. So you have the gun balancing issues, but let's talk about map layout, because to me, map layout was the reason why people hated Ghosts. Like, whenever I think about people having major gripes about Ghosts, the first thing that comes to mind is map layout and spawns. Both of which, in my opinion, in this game are pretty bad. Yeah, I think that they actually really took more notes from Ghosts than they did any other Call of Duty, which I thought was not the right way to do it. There's definitely a lot of Halo influence on this game, which I actually think could be a good thing. I mean, Halo itself is a great franchise, and I think that they have really good ideas from there. But, actually, really quickly, the streak balance in this game is god-awful. Like, there is no streak balance. It's literally just, like, everything does nothing except for, like, 3 things. And this particular streak, this map streak, makes no sense. It's broken. But then you have other streaks that are, like, absolutely worthless, which is pretty hilarious, to be honest. But, yeah, the map layouts. The map layouts, they make sense. I'm going to start off by saying that. So don't misunderstand and say like, oh, Choco thinks that the maps are crap and they're idiots for making these maps. The maps make sense for the game they made. But unfortunately, I don't think that as a Call of Duty like gunplay and gun balance map, it makes a lot of sense. It's not well designed in that regard. Like if you're looking for a good Call of Duty map, it lacks the qualities that do that for you, which is kind of a bummer. So, you know, there is that to bear in mind, at least in my opinion, is something to remember because it's not that great. You have these maps that are very open, which means that it's not going to be about gun skill, it's going to be more about squad mechanics, which if you're playing in pubs, I'm sure you guys are very much aware, especially on PC. The skill levels vary wildly. You have some people who are very good at this game, you have some people that are very bad at this game. You have some people who just can't be bothered to care about the game, so they just kind of do whatever they want. So that's always kind of odd. But then you have these map layouts that are basically, they're not very large. They're like, I would say the biggest one is probably about medium size. But these small to medium sized maps, very hectic. Some of them are pretty large. Actually, now that well, okay, hold on. I'll explain it later. But they're gonna effectively act as small to medium sized.
Actually, see on my screen.
Oops. Alright, whatever. They're gonna act as like small to medium sized maps. So that is kind of what it is. You have these maps that are also very open, which makes sense, right? Because you have exosuits, you're jumping around on buildings, so it makes sense that you would have a very open playing field. Problem with that is that if you have a open playing field, you have the same problem as Ghosts, which was, or at least the problem that I had with Ghosts, which is if you get shot, or if you get shot, if you move towards the center of the map in any way, shape, or form, if you're not hanging to the outside of the map where you limit the angles in which you can be shot, you're basically screwed. Because no matter how good of a gun player you are, and the best argument I have for this is that if an aimbotter, which is effectively a person that is playing with literally flawless aim, right? It's an aimbot that automatically aims. This computer, like, yeah, whatever. If you have an aimbot that is able to still be murked if they go into the center of the map, that to me is a red flag. Because that means no matter how good you become at this game, you cannot fix that. Because there are certain points that if you hit them, you're just literally so exposed that you can't keep a gun streak up. You just can't do it. It's just not possible. Obviously, some people will kind of argue back, like, well, you can move around the map and you can, like, kind of limit them. Like, there are places where you can definitely be a little bit more protected. Like, for example, on this map, you can go inside one of the buildings. Problem with that, in my world, is that, you know, that kind of reduces the opportunities for you because a lot of people gravitate towards the middle areas because they treat this as if it's Nuketown. maybe it's a player issue. I don't know. I think that the map design kind of leads it that way too, because obviously, especially if you're playing objective-based things, you know, you do need to capture like the middle area in general. So there is that. Ooh. But yeah, map layout's very open, very exposed. Not really my cup of tea. It is what it is, though. I don't think it's anything that's too mind-bogglingly awful. It's just not my thing. If you like Nuketown, you'll probably like the maps in Advanced Warfare. I just really dislike Nuketown. I really dislike having things that are very like overly fast-paced for no reason, it seems like, because it takes away from the ability of people to actually do gunplay, which is weird coming from me, right? Because I'm not a good gun player. I'm a weaker gun player, and that guy's still alive. Are you kidding? Wow, that's absurd. But yeah, it's just very, very odd. It feels like the spawns and like everything else also kind of kicks into this with the map layout where, well, actually, before I get into spawns, the mobility in this game I think is a fun idea, but in practice for Call of Duty is not a good idea. Now, some people I'm sure are going to riot just from me saying that. Okay, please die. Like, you've literally been alive for just way too long. But yeah, it's a very strange kind of mobility addition this year. Because you have exosuits that allow you to move so rapidly around the map, imagine if every Call of Duty map you've ever played was shrunk by half. That's how it's effectively going to act for spawns, for anything else. So whenever you're like, let's say you're capping a point, and you're looking at the screen, and most of the people are about the other side of the map. People respawn infinitely faster now, and there's nothing you can really do about it. Because you can't really like limit their movement very much. So, and concussion nades and stuff like that actually don't even do very much in this year's Call of Duty as well. But man, that guy, that's nuts. But this mobility does make it a little bit harder for those who play with positional advantage as being their like focal point for, hey, you know what? I'm not a great gun player, but I like to think that my strategy works pretty well. Here, your strategy is going to be kind of reduced into shreds, which is a shame, I think. Please stop camping. Like, it's just annoying. A lot of people thought that, like, with the mobility, people would camp less. It encourages people to camp more because there's more areas to camp in. But, well, that's a completely different thing. But yeah, mobility also does something else which is pretty, like, obnoxious. By adding more mobility, if you get the jump on someone, they have a chance to retaliate in a very different way than normal, which is normally you'd kind of like have this moment of, well, all right, they had the jump on me, I have to adjust now, and like I have to try to sprint away or find some cover really quickly. In this one, you literally create your own opportunity for them to just get their aim thrown off of seemingly a very arbitrary. Oops. No! I could have had a quad feed. Ah! No, come back. Oh wait, that's a teammate. Lol. But yeah, you have like, oh god. Yeah, but you have these people that are able to now like jump boost and then back boost and then do all this crazy movement stuff. And admittedly, like if you're not a great gun player, these are all things that you don't want to hear because it makes this erratic and crazy movement, and you also don't want to hear that if you have latency and stuff like that, because if you have any of those things, you're instantly looking at something that is going to be super hard to deal with. And it also it kind of puts people who put that like strategic gameplay and kind of positional advantage. If you do that, it puts you at a disadvantage now because it's like, okay, all that time you spent flanking is now going to be like that work that you did is going to be thrown away. Because it's, you know, you can still get the jump on people, don't get me wrong, but congratulations, you got the jump on someone, you're not going to necessarily be able to kill them. Because as opposed to them having like a limited area where they can move to, they can suddenly jump into like ridiculous number of positions and just, not necessarily, I wouldn't even consider it really outplaying as much as like, oh, they just did like a really cheeky version of dodge. Which, you know, again, to each their own. Some people will like that fact. They'll be like, oh, well, that increases like, you know, if you're really skilled and you have like different ways to survive for once. But for me, it seems more of like a very, very snarky way to add a little bit more of a slap in the face to people who want to play more tactically and strategically. So, anyways, enough about that. We've talked about that. We've beaten that horse to death. Spawns are impacted by mobility. So spawns in and of themselves, whenever you have high mobility, that means that the number of places that you can safely spawn is reduced. What's more is that when people are encouraged to move around the map a lot, you will get the campers, and I challenge you to find, like, if you can find 3 games in a row with no camping, I'll be amazed. Now, camping does not necessarily mean that they go on high gun streaks, but it's just like, if you have so much of the map available, the first thing that people tend to do is they're going to go and you can say, aha, I can now camp up here as well as down there. Not think to themselves like, oh, okay, well, this is a good opportunity for me to throw away my camping ways. It's just not really a thing. So that is, oh, all right. Well, that's not what I thought was going to happen there. Anyway. But, huh. Weird. I don't think I've ever used it like just flat. That was very bizarre. But yeah, the spawns are impacted by mobility. Once you have everyone moving around very, very quickly and rapidly, because you have some people that are moving around like crazy, you're also going to get the other half of that equation, which is that now you're no longer going to be able to be safe. Like, the area that a person can cover is ridiculous, which means that by the time they flag a location for a safe spawn, you are instantly at risk because, well, not instantly. I guess there's some situations where it's not. But for the most part, you're sort of at risk just because of the fact that, okay, you spawned, but by the time they have flagged a safe location, someone could already be heading to that location, like, and at a very rapid rate than previous Call of Duties, which means that you can get spawn killed at a very frustrating rate. Ooh. And again, example of a streak that is just terrible. Like, it's just bad. Like, look at how slow this thing moves. Ugh, it's just bad. Yeah, really, the only streaks you need in this game are the assault drone, you just need the assault drone, you need the UAV, and the care pack. Care pack is stupidly overpowered this game. But yeah, so spawns, not so great, very issue-ridden, shall we say. But something to bear in mind. You also have, for the first time ever, these supply drops, which are kind of fun and cool at the casual level, really frustrating at, like, if you want to get into the game and really sink your teeth into it. It's just very, very frustrating because you have these supply drop things that they can drop a number of things. It's not just customization, which I thought they swore up and down the street that was what they're going to mainly do, but the variants can drop different kinds of weapons and stuff like that, some of which actually have a pretty decent impact on you. They change like the sights, stuff like that, which is obviously pretty nice. But then you get the occasional one that boosts like the damage, or more importantly, the fire rate stat, which is a huge change. We're talking like not like 1-2% changes. We're talking like, I forget what. Again, I reference to Drifter because he does great testing stuff. But yeah, it's the actual numbers are ludicrous. Like, it's, I think, like 25% increases or something like that. It's some ridiculously large number that you wouldn't expect out of a variant giving you. But yeah, you get these really big jumps in damage potential, and seemingly not for very much. Like, it doesn't seem to be something that has like a consistent like rhyme or reason to it, which is kind of a bummer. But it is what it is. And also the supply drops all have this weird chance to drop you a care package in your next game, which to me is just like, that directly impacts your gameplay. Like, you could be the worst player in the world. If you get that, you could then like roll like a paladin, like just something really arbitrary, and you didn't earn that, which to me seems very sad. And it just encourages further like this whole like, oh yeah, it doesn't matter how good you are, you can get cheesed by so many different things in this game. It's ridiculous. And I think I've counted, what, 3 different kinds of cameras in this game. It's crazy. They're getting smarter. I don't like it. But yeah, there is that to also consider. Matchmaking, last kind of major thing I want to touch on. Matchmaking itself is apparently done by a different algorithm this year. It's not just about like ping and stuff, which rip. But until they get deadies like old school deadies, where you can have like a server browser and all that stuff, it's not really going to be something that gets resolved if you have directly behind me. But yeah, they decided to do this thing where it's like you have matchmaking that's based off of skill more or less, or like similar KDs will be lumped together. Very, very bizarre. They also have a game mode that is apparently like designed so you can't get into a lobby with a high KD person, like it kicks you out. I don't understand how that's a thing. But anyways, both these things really severely impact you being able to find a match. Like PC, like on day 3 or so, it slowed down. Matchmaking slowed down a lot, which is not exactly a great feeling or experience, but it is what it is. But anyways, I'm done ranting. Overall, if I had to give this like a score out of 10, I would say this is probably, despite all the crap I've given it, the game with currently as it stands, I would say is probably about like a solid 7. It's still like a fun game to play with friends and stuff like that. There are some moments where you're just like, that was really cool and really fun. So I would say it's not like a completely trash game. It's not like some game that like you would find out like a dumpster that was just burned to ashes. It's not Dragon Age 2. Oh, I'm gonna get so much hate for that comment. Oh, but yeah, it is definitely not that bad. I would say I would prefer Ghost at this point over Advanced Warfare. Just this is a personal preference thing, but for me, if someone said, what's the fairest assessment you can give, as it stands, probably 7. If they fix latency and stuff and it runs better, I would say that it would maybe even bump up to an 8. But this kind of game style with the map setup and all these gun balancings and things is just, I don't know. I don't think it could ever climb to a 9, like no matter how hard they tried. So I think it's kind of locked down, and that's still a respectable score. An 8's still a respectable score and deserving of the AAA title. But yeah, that's going to be it for me today, guys. If you guys did enjoy, or if you guys are about to slit my throat, be sure to hit the like button so I can at least smile in death. And subscribe to the channel if you are new and if you like FPS-ish content. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. And also share your comments about how you feel about this game and stuff like that. Or if you have something that you're like, this contradicts what you said, be sure to leave that down below. I always like reading those things. But anyways, I'll see you guys next time. Ciao for now.